Hi, good afternoon. My name is Lakemba Desideer. My pronouns are she and her, and I am the Indiana State Director of Planned Parenthood Advocates of Indiana and Kentucky. I am extremely excited about this conversation this afternoon. This afternoon, we will talk to a good friend, someone that I look up to, who is an advocate and a leader in this great state of Indiana, Mr. Tony Gillespie, who represents the Indiana Minority Health Coalition. It is very important as we are in this space to understand that we are not always the leaders when it comes to particular conversations. It is important for us to understand that it's more important to follow and listen than to lead. And because of that, our partnership with the Indiana Minority Health Coalition is important. Tony, take it away, my friend.
Will, there's really nothing left for me to say, so thank you for the opportunity. Have a great day. I'm Tony Gillespie with the Indiana Minority Health Coalition. I am the Vice President of Public Policy Engagement, and I couldn't be more thrilled and honored to be having this conversation. Um, IMHC is a statewide agency that specifically focuses on health disparities and chronic health conditions that disproportionately impact minority communities around the state. We have 23 minority health coalitions and partners that we fund to do this work around the state. And always in the background is the conversation about contraception and choice and abortion and all of the things that we know exist and all of the things that we know from a racial and ethnic minority perspective that um, the communities that we work for and work with are impacted by those things. But it's just conversations that we don't have.
Mhm.
And so I just look, not only am I honored to do this, but I just look at this as more opportunity to build a stronger relationship. I'm a Planned Parenthood junkie. I worked my first professional job out of college was Planned Parenthood in Northwest Indiana. That was when the state had affiliates, all around the state. And we merged with Planned Parenthood of Northeast Indiana. So my I was in community affairs and I was a community educator. So my territory grew from Lake County, Northwest Indiana, to include the corridor all the way down to Fort Wayne. And I just kept thinking, I am doing something so important. We're making history. And that kind of thing doesn't exist anymore. Um, and so as a partner, we had conversation and made purposeful decisions about what partnerships we wanted to nurture and expand and see grow and stand side by side and support one another. And Planned Parenthood was at the top of the list.
Tony, tell us a little bit about your organization and what you do in the community.
Well, as I say, we have 23 coalitions that we fund around the state. What I and my team, back to my pronouns, I, me, mine. Um, we work with our coalitions and partners around the state on advocacy and policy issues. And of course, the season for us is always when the legislative session starts, but we know this year it's just strange.
Mm.
It's strange and it's strained, and so we're having to do things a little differently this year. But um, we focus on advocacy. It's a lot of education that goes around that goes along with forming a statewide advocacy network, because all of the people that we fund are not always well versed in that and afraid, oh, I can't talk to a legislator because I'm lose my 501c3 status. And so it's a lot of education that goes there. Um, but of all of the things that we're working on, health disparities and chronic health conditions, right now the top of our list is maternal mortality and infant mortality. And of the things that we know, Black women are dying 2 to 3, depending on what document you read, but it can be 2 to 3 times more or 4 to 5 times greater than their white counterparts.
Mm.
And we're losing hundreds of women in Indiana, and they only got pregnant. And that shouldn't be a life sacrifice, or you should not be frightened. Right now, we have a whole crop of women of childbearing age who, the more information that comes out about the conditions and racial bias and implicit bias, they are terrified.
Mm,
And so while we're doing a great job at um, informing women of those conditions and what you should do to prepare to go to the hospital to deliver, and protective rights, pick a hospital that has some sensitivity to display understanding racial and ethnic minority groups, a lot of that. But now we have to change gears and talk about some of the assets that
mm,
should be considered. And I think that contraceptive education is an asset,
mm,
and it, that is part of postpartum. That's part of the postpartum education process, um, because in the work that we do, we know in many communities, and I think this cuts across race and ethnicity. There are women who end up in a situation where they had one child, then they had another child, and then they had another child, and if we can get to them in the postpartum period or even the prenatal period, just
mm,
moving forward, these are some choices that you have. And I really think it has to be a standard part of what we do.
mhm,
Um, we shouldn't have to have legislation to address education.
mm.
And that's exactly what it is. It's not forcing anyone to do anything. You, from me working at Planned Parenthood, I know what the conversation always is, and it always makes me sick, and it's draining that you know 100 years later we're still doing the same stupid things and not giving women enough information or families enough information to make choices.
Right,
And so
right.
that's I'm all about choice today.
I love it, Tony. And don't be modest. You're not all about choice today, Tony. I know you're all about choice all the time, and we appreciate you for that. Tony, will you share your website? Because I want to encourage folks to check out your website and to see how they can support you financially in this space.
So our website is www.imhc.org. And there's information and portals there to make donations. And then I think websites are kind of boring now with the onslaught of social media. So I'm most proud of our Facebook page. So you can Indiana Minority Health Coalition on Facebook. And there you will find breaking news, a lot of original content. We've been doing a series of webinars around COVID vaccine and minority communities. We did African American a couple of weeks ago, and the next one will be focusing on the Hispanic Latino population, and then we're doing Burmese and Shan and American Indians. So there's a ton of original content there and a lot of information. And we also have a program that we run in South Bend. So part of our master plan is to have doula integration around the state and minority communities. And
Wonderful.
along with that comes contraceptive education.
Absolutely. And Tony, you told me something about a podcast coming up soon.
Oh, okay, that's right. We just launched a podcast, and it's so new I don't even know the name of it. But we recorded our first podcast yesterday, and so it will be live. I think it's going to launch on Monday.
Wonderful. Well, what we'll do is we'll make sure we'll share this to the link. Tony, thank you for your time today. Thank you for
Absolutely.
your time, period, in this space. Your work has not been unappreciated. I ask you to continue in this space, to lift your voice and to help others lift their voice. I appreciate your guidance, and I look forward to our continued partnership.
I appreciate that so much, and all I'm going to say is ditto, boo.